Yeah, man.
Hey, welcome back to another TxD Talks. I am super excited to be interviewing the legendary three-time taker of the TEDx Detroit stage, Mr. Khary Turner. What's up, dude? How are you?
What up, though, man? I'm good, brother. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing really well. I said that you're the three-time returning champion, but in all sincerity, bro, I one of the dopest conversations I've ever had in my life was with you,
Wow.
Fegan, and Sola back in
Yeah.
2020, right? We had those difficult conversation theme
Yeah.
going on. That
Yeah.
shit, speaking of the COVID beard, right? That thing, that discussion was crazy. I assume you remember talking through
I
that.
do. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I was honored to be a part of it, man. And both Sola and Fee and yourself, just a, a a conversation full of high level thinkers, visionary minds, man. And it was good getting a chance to share some progressive ideas and really deal with a topic that you have to get personal with, to deal with, and we did that deep dive, man, and I appreciate it.
We really did. And so, interestingly, that led to your third appearance. I don't know about led, but it ties into your third
Mm.
appearance. You
Yeah,
spoke when we did the whole event virtually in 2020. You talked a little bit about bias.
yeah.
Can you walk us through kind of what the highlights of that is? Because that's such an important topic still today.
Well, I will start by thanking you and Charlie for tackling the topic and for trusting me to do it. It was, that was late 2020. That was right after the George Floyd summer. The Black Lives Matter movement was in full swing, and the conversation was a hot topic. A lot of folks were, embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion. More feverishly than they're running away from it now. And it was a necessary conversation at a necessary time. And again, it's one of those topics that I think when you're speaking to a passionate point in the midst of the heat of that passion, it's really important, man, to be measured and thoughtful because you're going to be provocative by default. The emotion of the time is going to take care of that part, right? But what do you do with the part that you can control easily? The thought process. And the virtual talk, I think, turned out to be the best way to convey it because we were able to use visual stimulants and some good props that everyone could see and soak in. I distinctly remember being very tired physically, tired from COVID, tired from being away from people and being forced to be antisocial, tired from helping my son navigate the time, tired from limited sleep. My patterns were off, and then we had to, and then I'm preaching to the choir because as you and I just said, offline, that you guys pulled this thing together in 3 weeks, and I knew that I was in concert with a bunch of folks that were just doing our best to get through. But the research came together, and the conversation about bias and race and disparity. I believe we succeeded in presenting a talk that invited people into the conversation, invited them to think critically, and invited folks to embrace the beauty of discomfort, and to recognize that nothing becomes beautiful without pain, process, or pressure. And we all have to go through that to get to the beautiful point, right? So it was good.
Nothing becomes beautiful without pain, process, or pressure.
Yeah.
Dang, someone's gonna have to write that one down. I love that. I love that. And Kara, you're kind enough to not add to the list of tired being not necessarily the arguing, but sometimes the educating, right? There were people that looked different than you at that time that were either doing one of two things, right? Social justice warrioring coming up and supporting you and asking questions and how can I help and serve and what can I do? And at
Hmm.
some point it's like just shut the hell up and leave me alone. That would be an answer, right?
Yeah,
And I know that wasn't your answer, but that would have been an answer. And
yeah.
then there was the other side of that that was like, I ain't even getting to the other side. So, that's exhausting too.
Yeah,
And yeah, that was a rough time. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna encourage anyone watching and listening to go back and find the TEDx Detroit talk with Khary Turner,
Ah,
Khary Turner from 2020 on bias. We'll drop a link for that for sure. All
thank you.
right, so you got to do some spoken word poetry. We had a fun little event at the Wright Museum in 2017.
Yeah,
You shrunk
yeah,
everything back down
yeah.
due to some logistic issues with LCA that time. And so that was a great intimate little event. I love that one actually.
Yeah.
Um, and not only were you a poet, man, but you're in a band.
Oh
Talk
yeah,
a
Black
little
Bottom
bit about
Collective.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm an artist and a creative first. And you guys gave me an opportunity to dust off the mic at a time when I'd been kind of dormant because I'd been focusing my energy toward Coleman A Young Foundation. And I was kind of compartmentalized. My life was, so um, when TEDx Detroit invited me back, that was talk number two, right? And I have one of my favorite poems that I wrote is a poem called LOVE that Black Bottom Collective actually recorded in song. But it began as a poem, and it's a muse on what love is. My wife, thankfully, is my personal muse, and she inspired this poem, and it's kind of like this holistic agape approach. I believe that love carried me over, love saved souls, love fed me, clothed me, raised and composed me, love helped an addict regain control. Love called me a man. Love married and chose me. And it goes on to talk about all these things. And then it breaks down into this hook, LOVE. Bottom line for living says God. Rearrange life to LOVE, and we are LIVE, godly. And that's the ultimate goal, of love to me, just to get closer to the most high, to the creator, and become a manifestation of your highest vibration, So I was real thankful that you all gave me an opportunity to do that. And again, man, the pieces fell into place because the Wright is a museum and is a house that I've performed in many, many times. I have friendships among the staff members there. So to go back there, it's always like a homecoming, or like visiting the cousins. And to do it there was special. So thank you again.
Dude, listen, man, you honor us, but listen, it's so easy to select awesome people to do awesome things because they
Uh-huh.
already awesome doing awesome things, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you were an easy choice, man.
Uh,
And
Thank you.
so let's kick it back to the one that got it kind of set it off, right?
Mm.
2015. You, as I recall, did you open the whole day? You set the stage for that event, is if
Yeah,
memory
man,
serves.
man, look, you and Charlie set me up, man. Look. You said we're gonna put you in front of what, 3,000 people, and then you're gonna go first, and you're gonna talk about Coleman Young.
Yes, yes, we gotta have the hottest stuff on the planet right here today. Let's go.
Oh, and it's my first TEDx Detroit talk. I had no idea what to experience. Um, all I knew was that there's an entire community of TEDx Detroit speakers who set a very high bar for presentation, for poignancy, uh, and for complete absence of fluff. And I had to meet that standard by talking about a man who has a 20-year history as mayor, a whole history as a social organizer of progressive movements, a whole history as a Tuskegee Airman, an entire history as a state senator. And I got to condense that into, what was it, 8 minutes?
8 minutes, baby. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time to
Man,
talk too much about any of it.
bro. And then create visual stimulants. but he was also a man that kind of made difficult take a day and impossible take a week. He got things done. And if he did it, then it was only right that we did it, right? All of us together. And you and Charlie gave great guidance. The high honor of that time was the fact that I got a chance to sit with Bob Berg, the late Bob Berg, who was one of Mayor Young's most trusted appointees. He was his spokesperson for 10 years of his time in office. And he is the guy who knew where all the bodies were buried, proverbially speaking. And he sat down with me and helped me to take the little bit that I knew, and he turned that little bit into a certain level of expertise on Coleman Young. And I got to tell you, man, as executive director of the foundation that Coleman Young founded, and as a person who is responsible for putting Detroit youth through college, and knowing that that is one of the things that Mayor Young was most proud of, um, it felt so gratifying to sit with one of his most trusted soldiers and just get schooled. And then I was able to then easily create the talk and talk about why Coleman Young mattered then, why he still matters today, why downtown Detroit's entertainment district looks the way it looks, because of the work that he did with Mike Ilitch, rest his soul. Why the Red Wings are still in Detroit and not based in Farmington Hills, just there's so much, man. Why the Wright Museum exists in the state that it exists today. There was so much to just decipher, and we were able to like help identify these little benchmark points to give the room, to move them from perception to perspective. That was the goal. You can have your perception of Coleman Young, but let's put this man's life and legacy in perspective. If you can do that, I don't care that whether you voted for him or not. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican. At that point, you just have the correct historical lens set to that time. And we achieved that, man. And you guys were great partners in helping me to do that. You and I stood in our office. We were, remember, in the Palms building at the time.
Yeah.
And you helped to coach me on how to walk through that process, those first initial steps, man. And Charlie was a great goalpost, in crafting that talk and kind of helping to get it across the finish line, man. And it was a magnificent day.
I just remember approaching you with the idea about let's set this record straight because back then we still had a pretty serious divide at 8 Mile Road,
Yeah,
right? There was still
yeah,
that this is one side and this is the other side, and y'all can piss off if you're not on my side. And
yeah.
a lot of that legacy started in Young's term, right?
Mhm.
During that timeline.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of misconception and a lot of misnomer and a lot of miseducation and miscommunication. And you cleared all of that up with that talk. And it's interesting, man. I'm not saying that you're solely responsible for removing the divide, but we don't talk about it anymore. So I'm gonna give you credit, dude. I think Khary Turner fixed the division in the
Stop.
Detroit
Nah,
metropolitan
nah.
area. That is quoted. I just heard somebody say it like 3 seconds ago.
What? Man, I was honored to contribute to that conversation, bro. And you're right. It's kind of corny to talk about the divide now, you know.
Is not
And
a
that's what
thing.
should happen. That's what should happen. It's like for Detroit to be such a critical part of America's 20th century. We put the world on wheels. We gave the world freeways. We gave the world outdoor malls. But once you go to Detroit, there's a simple dividing line that represents all of this strife and division and separatism, and there's a lot that's a layered conversation in itself. But at some point, we have to put that in perspective and grow beyond it. Um, and because there are new problems that await, and we can't have the weight of the past stuff weighing down today's stuff. it only ultimately shortens all of our lives, man. So I'm like, let's get healthy and let's grow beyond this, so we can, move in concert better than we did, yesterday.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You are nailing it, man. I want to become a manifestation of my highest vibration too. I wrote that down. No, this is awesome. So you've alluded to the Mayor Coleman A. Young Foundation, the foundation that Coleman Young started that you are running now. Well, tell
And
us a little bit about that.
I will be my 13-year anniversary as executive director comes on October the 12th. And this was a job that I thought I'd be, this was a role I thought I'd be in, 5 years. Do the 5-year thing, go climb a ladder, do the 5-year thing. I just love this organization, man. The mission, it's passion work. It's not easy work, no nonprofit work. Mission work is easy. You're constantly grinding and fundraising and creating friends but the bottom line is over 42 years, Mayor Young established this foundation with the late Lawrence Doss and the late Walter Beckham in 1982. And over the course of the last 42 years, we have used college scholarships, collegiate and teenage level, adolescent age mentoring and guidance, and invitations back to Detroit after college graduation to help 517 Detroit youth get to and through college. We 55% of the kids or so that we give scholarships to are in some way cycle breakers in their family. They're maybe the first to go to college, or maybe they're going to college despite dealing with certain levels of adversity in their lives. And then some are just college ready and they're ready to go and get it cracking. But a lot of the kids we give scholarships to grow up with a Detroit experience that makes them think about leaving the city. It may be poverty. It may be, it may be safe passage, violence issues, things like that. But when they graduate, first 90% of our kids have graduated. Um, and
That's a great
60%
number.
of those, I love it. And 60% of those graduates have chosen to come home and start their lives and careers back here in the Detroit area. Um, and I love that because it's like we're more than a scholarship organization. We're more than a mentoring organization. We are a true talent generator for the city of Detroit. And for us to see young professionals in the city who are for Detroit, by Detroit, you know, and doing Detroit, it's so gratifying. Last Friday, we went to a mixer over a friend's house, and these friends are a husband and wife team, Steve and Jennifer Peoples, who met in high school, both became Coleman Young scholars in different years, both graduated from college, and now they live in University District. And they throw the craziest party every, not crazy, 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 but just live. They throw the illest mixer in their backyard every year, and they invite all of their friends out. Jennifer is an entrepreneur, and she also, I think she also works, I want to say she works in some level of health administration, and Stephen works for the Department of Defense. And they have gone from being Coleman Young scholars and alumni to being friends of my wife, Tanisha, and me. And we have dinner together. We talk about family together. Their children are, roughly the same age range as our son, because I'm an old daddy. And that's the life that I get to live in this role. I get to watch kids become men and women, then become professionals, and then in some cases become friends, like legit friends, where we talk about human grown-up stuff, man. What job is going to give me that opportunity? You know?
You being, and the word nonprofit has bugged me for a long time, man.
Me
Somebody
too.
tried to spin it in the four impact. So I've been using four impact since I first heard that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think that was me.
I hope it was.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know
I think
what?
that was me.
From
Yeah,
now
yeah.
on, it's you. I don't Khary Turner first told me about four
Yeah,
impact. I've been using
yeah,
it since. And in all sincerity, it very well could have been you. But it's such a better way to go about it. And why would you define something by what it isn't? I don't
yeah,
understand that.
exactly.
But the just listening to that 517 youth that have gone through, graduated, or 90% of those have graduated, 60% of those have come back. I mean, that's impact, dude, and it's
Yeah,
measurable and you can see it.
yeah.
I love it. We gotta, I could talk to you for days. And I have, so we know it's true. But we gotta wrap this up. But
Okay.
here's the two questions for you. One, what was the hardest part? And two, what advice do you have for people that are gonna be taking that red dot?
Hmm. The hardest part of was the preparation, because it really is focused preparation. You're crafting your narrative, you're staying within time, you're creating your visual asset to go with it, and then you have to make all of those pieces dance together smoothly. Um, you have to trust the process, because the end result is always stellar, and it makes for and that's why the day is always such a great day. What I would advise people to do is start right away. Just, jot down your main thoughts. Don't worry about your nerves. They're not going anywhere. Your nerves are allies. But um, jot down your main thoughts. What do you want to get across? And then what layers do you want to add to those thoughts? I always say, we speak at about 155 to 175 words per minute. So that's a great way to time yourself if you're going to write out a message. And you know that once you do that division, when you're generally starting to go too long, or if you need to add some meat to it. But stay consistent, get an editor. Don't edit your own stuff. Um, find the person who will give you the honest feedback to critique it and let you know what's fresh, what's whack. Um, and then, try to find a professional to help you put your visual aids together, because every other speaker who's coming on that day, their presentation is going to be top notch. You don't want to be the one who's not. So, and then, when you get on stage, try to know your presentation enough that you don't have to rely on the confidence monitor that's in front of you and the prompter. Be rehearsed enough to go for it from here.
Love it, dude. Love it, love it. You're an absolute rock star in the most literal sense, Black Bottom Collective for those of us that are looking for that.
Ah,
Um,
yes, sir.
but yeah, we'll get the links together and when we drop this, we'll put some stuff out there, man. I'm excited. And like I said earlier, before we hit the record button, we got to see each other in real time.
You do, we do, man, we do. Can I mention one quick thing?
Absolutely. Tell
I just
people where to
want
find you first or at
uh
the same time.
visit us at cayf.org, and you can catch me at Khary Kimani on Instagram, KharyKimani. And I'm on Facebook too as Khary Kimani Turner. Um, we're putting a statue of Coleman Young in the nation's capital. Um, and I'll give the quick and dirty. In 2022, the Michigan State Legislature became, by a unanimous vote, the first state governmental body to choose to put an African American full-bodied statue in the United States Capitol. Coleman A. Young is going to be the Democratic representative under the dome in Washington, D.C., and Coleman A. Young Foundation is the fiduciary for that effort. We're working with a team consisting of Adam Ollier and Marvin Beatty, former state senator and CAIF president. We're working with Chris Illich of Illich Companies, Suzanne Shank, one of the most powerful African-American businesswomen in America, Wendy Jackson of the Kresge Foundation, and John James of James Group International, to raise awareness and support for this initiative. and it's going to be a great day in DC. So just stay tuned, everybody. Get involved when we go public soon, and let's make history as a city and as a state.
I'm so glad you brought that up. We had talked about how we were gonna dovetail that in and
It's
totally
cool. We got it in. We got it
I
in.
blame the host, dude. I totally blame the host. So
We got it
nice
in, man.
work, man. Nice work. All right. Good to see you. Yes, people, go find Khary Kamani. Go find Khary Turner. He'll show up, man. He'll show up. CAYF dot
Thank you, bro. I
org.
appreciate you, man.
Good to see you, brother. Have a great one.
You too.
And if I can figure out how to hit that record button, there we go.